brave enough to put a mic on me. Usually that never happens because I was a basketball coach at one time too, and I have that voice of working, in the military world. So I wanted to introduce to you the ladies that I brought in to demo some of the stuff for me today. Some of you guys know Veronika from her social media escapades on Instagram. Currently the #1 ranked player on UTR, the inaugural #1 ranked player on UTR, and still the #1 player.
Woo!
And then Sydney here is one of my college players that I've been helping out and working with, local ones. Some of them are all over the place, but Sydney is here locally, and we started working together maybe, when was it? Yeah, a few months ago. And so I asked Cindy to come out and help out, and we've all gotten to know each other, and we have an interesting history because we're from the same state. So, getting the old dominion. I want to start off by having a confession for you all. Since it's Sunday, we now have a coach that plays tennis. I'll start off with a confession today. I was actually trained to do this level, and I never got a break to do it once I left Vanderbilt. Everybody wanted to hire me and wanted the girl on staff, and everybody put me with 10 and under. So being the shy, introverted person that I am, and having a husband who was a capitalist as well, I took the jobs that I could and reverse engineered everything, since my husband's a PhD aerospace engineer. Reverse engineered things. What is it at this level that are the threads to the younger level, and vice versa, the threads from the younger level that we can do things to make a difference for the upper level. And there are a lot of interesting common threads that we can do. And Veronika has an interesting position right now because she's still playing and she's helping me out and coaching some lessons, so she gets to see some of the things, and we get to have conversations on the court and on the car. And I swear one of the projects that I have in the future is going to be conversations with you in the car, because if you all can see it, they're pretty wild conversations, are they not? Yeah, they're pretty crazy. They're pretty crazy stuff on life and things. So I wanted to show you a couple of the things from a technical standpoint, a tactical standpoint, that I work with players from little kids to older kids, and so on and so forth, and break it down for you, the communication aspect that I do. So I'll fly through this quickly. I realize, as entertaining as I am, they are the superstars, and I make no doubt of who the superstars are. Okay. They are the superstars. I'm just fortunate enough that I get to work with two of the most amazing young women that you could ever hope to have on court with you. And I am so excited about what their future holds for them in tennis and beyond. So when I first start working with beginners, I keep the tech very, very simple. And one of the things that we do, is we're going to do it without brackets at first, is we'll do a game called bounce catch. And it's a very simple and elementary game. And it's a tip that I learned from my good friend and mentor, Oscar Wagner, years ago. And we're working on sending and receiving skills right here. I do this with the beginners. I do this with 10 and under kids. I do it with everybody. And we're working on receiving skills, which is, 80, which is really about 70 to 80% of what we're doing anyway when we play tennis. And we're working on the basics of things. And I have found, go ahead, ladies, you can grab the rackets. Is just do short court, please. Is when most players go out and play at a higher level, I have found that the majority of the time when they make a technical, they have a little technical oops, it's usually because they're having problems finding the ball. And my best story on the finding the ball thing is one day I was working with Taylor Johnson, who played at UCLA and later on at SMU in grad school. and she was having problems with that. We spent about 10 minutes just tossing the ball, and then we spent time doing this of just finding the ball. And what my dad did for me when I was a little girl is he drew rabbit ears on the ball. And he told me that I was Elmer Fudd, because I watched Bugs Bunny every Saturday morning, and Elmer Fudd. And then I got to be Elmer Fudd, and I got to go hunting in the woods to Wesley Wabbit. And do that. So now as I got older, I just look for me personally, the contrast of the black ink is really, really big for me. And it helps me pick that up. And it helps me focus on my task. So the other thing that I wanted to tell you is from the technical side, and you can stop for a minute if you want. And he will tell you this when you get because on the youth yard circuit, you can coach from the sidelines. And it's no different in college, like a college or high school. And she'll tell you the number one thing she'll see from me is this. And when I'm saying that, is I'm saying throwing the edge at it. Because if she's going long, it's probably because she's opened up her racket face a little bit. And I'll throw the edge at it. And how I'll show beginners, 10 and under people, is I'll put the vibration dampener. Because it's a tool on my racket. And I'll put it up here and to show them coming behind the ball. Like that. And I don't have to leave it on there long, but it gives them the idea because they can see it. The youngest ones are like this. I have some, thank you Billy for doing this for me. I have some LA tennis ones here for you guys. You can have extra ones that you can keep in your bag and throw on there. It makes a huge difference in giving a lot of people, you know, we all learn differently. I have a learning disability. They both spell better than I do. We had plenty of conversations of me being somewhere with Veronika, me going, how do you spell? You know, and she spells far better than I do. Sydney, everybody spells better than I do. And it's fun, and because I learn differently, I perceive things, and I try to remember that when I'm coaching, is that some people need that little visual help. So if I can do that, to make it so that they understand the racket angle, and it's a good way sometimes of getting people to change the grip without mentioning the change of the grip. So that's a little thing that I do. You've seen me use that on rackets plenty of times and drills and stuff like that. Any questions so far? Okay, because I have all sorts of prizes. I have hats, I have vibration dampeners, I have all sorts of stuff. Those are the basic tactical, the technical things that I work with. The tactical things is I want people to understand the geometry of the court. So, Sydney, can you go straight ahead that way? Can you go straight ahead this way? My father was an electrical mechanical engineer, so I learned math and physics. And when I look at the court, I see an oversized rectangle. Straight ahead is 78 feet. When Sydney goes that way, and she's that way now, believe it or not, my dad had me measure this, and she is a five-year-old theorem, and it's like 82.5, so or something. So it's a little bit longer. It's about 4.5 feet longer this way. So I'm trying to get the kids to understand not how to hit the ball, yes, but where to hit the ball and understand the why. And so one of the things, you guys can come in, one of the things that I talk about a lot is using the geometry of the court to your advantage. I was describing when we were up there the other day at the booth, you know, when I have a net tracker, I'll sometimes show the kids the height of the net here. When you're on a court like these ladies are playing in, and when she was playing in college, she's still there. And the pros, they have those single sticks, and then it's tucked out here when I'm working with players and I have them, I'll have it here, and it's 6 inches here, and talking about how that affects things. So you go cross court because you have longer distance, you have lower part of the net, you have all this. You go down the line when you're stepping into the court. You know, going over basic things. Unless you're 6'2" and you have a forehand up here like this, you can be behind the baseline and hit the ball down the line and nobody can get it anyway. About the story about that? Yeah, about the story about about learning where you should hit the ball and why. And from my experience, people will understand things better when they have a why. And so I'm talking about the basics of the why, not anything complicated, anything along that line. We're doing this, you know, you should go here because. So that's keeping it very simple. We also, and Cindy can attest to this, we had a day where I had the PVC pipe is my favorite thing. I think it was about maybe a half an inch thick, and I'll thread it through here, and I'll have caution tape going across. Remember doing that? And we'll have it here, and we'll start to work with the ways in which you can manipulate the ball. Remember I told you I was the daughter of an engineer? I write it out like a mathematical formula. It's h(f squared p squared). Height, spin, speed, depth, direction. And so we'll talk about those kind of things. And I'm looking about when you're behind the baseline, getting it up into here. I have a stat on my phone from the ground up, how high the doll hits it, Fed hits it, about her height. Djokovic is my height, and Murray is about here. So it gives you an idea of the range and how it affects things. So I keep it very, very simple. Say, I'll do it here. And a lot of times I will stand at the net and I'll stand here and I think I'm sadistic, like I have a death wish, and I'll feed balls from here because I'm working on getting them to understand height. I've got my racket in my hand, I'm fine. You know, if I get hit, if I don't get hit once a day, my son thinks I don't work. Okay, seriously, my son, he goes, Mom, what's wrong with you? You didn't get hit today, did you work? So, if I get hit once in a while, it's okay. But it's to give them an idea of the height of everything. The spin, the speed, I want more speed on the ball to get more spin on the ball. There's no such thing as a flat ball. A flat ball is a ball that has a spin. Okay, I'm looking for RPM on the ball. And then, or else, the depth and direction. Most of the time, when people are playing, and I was working with a lady the other day, actually, Buddy met her, Priscilla. I don't know, Priscilla's probably mid-70s, late 70s, something like that. Brilliant neuroscientist. And getting her to hit more depth on her shot and getting her to hit the ball so that the second bounce, which is a measurement of spin and speed, is way back here. And she was a lady that was hitting the ball like she was playing maybe on an orange court at best, between an orange and a red, and now she can hit the ball and go farther back, and her whole quality of her life has gotten better. She's like about a 2.0 player, 2.5. And I mean, it's little thing. Clearly didn't come from my genetics and my family. But really, really small little lady. And to give her that kind of distance is huge for her. The other thing that I could speak to both of these lovely ladies about is having a plan of attack and having an idea of what you want to do when you play. And it's fascinating because most girls are taught to do what? Where does everybody practice? On the baseline. And they play on the baseline, but they never look. It's either they're scared to, or they're not confident enough to come forward. And it's working on the opportunities to come forward, and looking at where those are. The stat that I saw from Craig Janice, and we were just talking about this like 2 days ago, I think it was, and he was helping out a player and sharing the stat, is you will only win 46% of your points from here. 46%. How many points do you need to win a match? What's the percentage?
Pretty close. 50.1. Okay, you'll win a match. If you win 54%, you win straight sets. 57%, we're winning 6-love, 6-1, 6-1, 6-1, 6-love, 6-love. We like those days. We like the straight set days. Okay? But if you, so that's understanding the match stats. Back there, 46. If you come in here and you're able to play more in the court, you're going to win 66% of the points. And that's Chris O'Shannon's stats. So winning tennis is about doing this way, that way. So when you're working with your players, don't forget to work on that transition and the coming forward and what to do with the ball and where. You know, and moving forward. It's not about how hard you hit the ball. It's setting your opponent up to fail. Oh gosh, I mean, as I set them up to make an error. Okay? If you want to see two of the best slices on the planet, they're right here. I laugh at fools that try to out-slice this one. It's like the Ginsu knife. It's like, oh boy, they just bought that bait. They're going down on that because that ball will be about yay big coming off the ground, and it's a pain in the butt to hit. So it's coming up with that plan of attack. Know thy player. It's funny that Amy and I both had the same phrase there. Know thy player. I look at these two as superheroes, and they both have a superpower. And yet, there's also, with every superpower, Superman has his what?
Kryptonite.
Kryptonite. Everybody has something that they don't do as well. And so, if you know your superpower, okay, and you know your kryptonite, you can usually kind of hide your kryptonite, all right? And get away with things. So, when I start to evaluate, I talked to somebody up here today, and we were talking about Don Henson and the major dominances of the body, and the fine motor and the major motor, and the one that most people don't understand, the spinning and balance preference. So I'll do this with Whitney here because he has no idea what we're doing. We call it up or down. That thing's so forever. It's down, but I'm gonna let you choose. No, sir? Okay, go get that ball. Oh, you see which way she went. She went counterclockwise. So, what strokes go counterclockwise? For her, forehand and serve. So she's forehand and serve dominant. She tells me that right away because she'll instantly turn. Okay? That means her weakness of what I would look to go after more, and the first instant snapshot is her backhand. And then I would look at that. It's a little bit different. It's the opposite for lefties. If they're going clockwise, their forehand and serve are stronger. If they rotate the other way, it's the backhand. It's an interesting stat. I was talking to Dmitry Tuzov, who's a big time pro coach, and we were talking about this, and we were sharing this information. And we were sharing a Krispy Kreme donut, I will not lie. Okay, because Dmitry and I both like Krispy Kreme. And we were talking about this, and more women are stronger on their backhand side than their forehand, particularly in Europe. Don't know why that is per se, but they tend to rotate the opposite direction for clockwise. I'm just like saying, man, I'm going this way. I roll around my bed. I walk around this way all the time. I'm going counterclockwise. It's unnatural for me to go the other way. Probably the reason why I have a one-handed backhand. Really don't like walking that way. So I'll do anything in the world to get out of it. So knowing that and their superpowers and kryptonite, I've had the privilege of knowing for a long time now. It's hard to know each other for 5 years. And we initially did not start working in that capacity at all. We were just, I was a chauffeur. Take her down to the volunteer program. It's true. I actually taught her how to drive a little bit, or I let her drive my car. And
it was pretty funny. The purple Honda Fit, the stories in purple Honda Fit, and we worked very hard on having no kryptonite that shows anywhere whatsoever. Anything that might have existed before is pretty much nada. It's out of there. All we have is superpowers. All we have is superpowers. And when you say player, all you saw us to do was like the ball goes woo. And if you ever want to find out what the hardest hitting forehand feels like, Sablinka and Veronika have been blocked both at the same speed. So my favorite story is out of Long Beach at Dorado Park. These guys were hitting with her, and one of the guys said, "God, does she have to hit the ball so hard?" And then about 3 points later in this game, he takes the ball and just goes boom, and it goes that way, and he just looks like this. And I said, if you practice a little harder, maybe you can hit like a girl. Because it was his expression on his face was the ball, he'd never seen it move so fast. It was pretty funny. The big thing in the sports psychology side of it, as I call it, the 2 TLCs, and I'm going to shut up and let them talk. My first TLC is trust, listen, and communicate. And I'll let Sydney talk about this first. The other one I'm going to let me talk about. I don't know if I can take this off.
Here, you can keep it on. You can keep it on.
So used to not having mics on. Okay, Sydney. So trust, listen, and communicate. Give them a 1-2 minute story about that.
A 1-2 minute story. So I don't know if I have a 2-minute story, but I feel like with Coach Susan, she always talks about enhancing your game and not necessarily changing your game. I feel like a lot of coaches, when they first work with you, they just want to throw everything at you and kind of create like a completely new player. And they want to point out all of these faults that you kind of have in your game. Which for me, like being a Division I tennis player, at this point, I'm very comfortable with where my game is. I like my game. A lot of time developing my game. So when I started working with Coach Susan, and she was like, I just want to add a little like glitter on your game. I just want to enhance your game a little bit. I was like, oh, I like the sound of that. I want to enhance my game too. So I feel like just the way that she kind of coaches, it's not like this abrasive technique where I want to change everything about you. It's like, I want to help you, I want to make you better, and just like make small tweaks that are going to go a long way.
And when I'm working with the little guys, because I still work a lot with little guys, I was up on the court the other day. I think you saw me with like 4 and 5-year-olds. And it's saying, oh, let's add this today. And I said, get excited, we're gonna add this today. And, and it's the framework of how you present it to people, because they don't like the word feedback, because that kind of has a negative connotation to it. And they really don't like the word criticism. I have found the words enhancement and sparkle and glitter and all that gets them more in the mindset of, oh, more accepting of something, because you got to get people to agree with you when you're going to add something to their game. So the second T of the TLC is talk less when communicating. It's being clear and concise. And I know the story I have for me was the day of hitting with the Pepperdine girl and then the following day. So I'm going to let you, because I get, sometimes she's looking at me and I'm like, saying hello. So I'm going to let you take it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times players look for validation from the outside, from the coaches or parents or whoever's by your side in your box. And I think from Susan, I learned that sometimes less is more. And just having that, unspoken communication with the coach is really important. And she would just give me a look or like do just one movement of the hand, like what she showed earlier. And I would just, able to know right away exactly what I have to do, you know. So, and like autocorrect almost, you know. So, yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I remembered most that you said to me one time when you'd had a long day of training and then you had shoulder rehab, you hit with this girl and you played a set and you struggled and you were like, you know, anxious anxiety from the other day, we were talking about that. And I just said two things. I said, you just needed more of this, and on your volleys you needed that, you know. And then I said, but don't you think you have done a lot today? And you're like, and
And you always want to do more, and then you know, Susan was just like, maybe it's not about quantity, it's about quality of things that you do on the court and off the court.
yeah,
And
and
just
then,
making it, you know, smarter process.
yeah, and then the next day she goes up to Pepperdine, plays the same girl, destroys her. I think you beat her 11-1 or something like that. It was a pretty thing. And one of the coolest things that's ever been said to me was, you don't say a lot when you're coaching, but what you say has a lot of weight to it. And that actually meant a lot to me, because even with little kids, you know, sometimes I had Lucille Mosier, who's up in Oxnard, and I on the court, and a lot of times I'm just giving hand motions because you don't need to say anything, you just kind of need to show. So that was really the main thing, that with all the levels and going up the threads. And it's being more the coach wooden wordsmith and saying exactly what you mean and nothing more than that. And the final thing, and I'm going to let both of them talk about this, is your coaching blood type. God has a sense of humor, because my beloved negative sister blood type is B positive. And if you ever got a chance to meet her, we are exactly polar opposite in every way. And I have to be negative blood type. But I think when I coach, my blood type is B positive. Because I would like to think that I am always positive when it's a little kid, when it's an adult, and I have lots of adult beginners, to whether it's you all. Usually everything I say, I don't think I've ever said a negative thing, or it could be, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's very true. Coach Susan is very positive all the time and looking from a very positive place, giving the feedback, using appropriate verbiage, and saying the right things to say at the right time is very important, especially in matches or practice. It can have a long-standing impact on your game, so it just sticks to you.
Yeah, Coach Susan and I were working on my forehand a few weeks ago, and I said, we were trying to get more racket head speed, trying to get more clearance over the net, and I was like, oh, like, you said I was doing this wrong, and she was like, oh, I never said you were doing anything wrong. And just like that little shift in how she speaks, it goes a long way, because like as a Division I player, you have so many coaches once you get to that point that you're always being told a lot of different things about yourself and a lot of different things about your game. So when you're working with a coach who keeps it so simple, positive, and concise, it really just helps bring it all together for you. And it helps you focus on what you need to do, which is just getting the ball into the court.
Yeah, I think also during matches sometimes, you know, Susan was on the matches, so I look at her and I pay attention to those little movements. And we talk about this a lot, picking up on the body language. There is not only spoken language, but we also can talk about body language for coaches. And sometimes we can see some, you know, emotional people out there throwing their hands around and whatnot, and raising their voice and screaming. And, you know, everyone's style of, you know, how they perceive the information is very different. But I think learning about your player in particular is very important, and how it will help them to enhance their game.
Yeah, I mean, I teach my parents positive body language, and you know, not to stand like this, because that's a negative compensation. That's demeaning. That means I'm evaluating you. I'm not happy with your performance. Anything along that line. If if anything, when I'm working with them and I'm, watching and I'm standing, I'm here, I'm in a superpower position, or my hands are behind my back because I'm at ease, I'm relaxed, or my hands are like this and open and accepting what they're giving me. I mean, the funniest story of recently is Veronika's boyfriend. I had to give him a lesson on how he sits during the match. And he sat down, I'm literally, poor Zach's not here, Zach's talked about, poor guy. And he was sitting there, and he was like this, and he was leaning back like this, and he was sitting like that, and I tap him on the thing and say, Z, I love you, but you can't sit like that during the match. He's like, what? What do you mean I can't sit like that? I said, you can't sit like that during the match. I said, you mean well, you might be comfortable, but right now, sweetheart, this isn't about you. It's about her. And I said, your body language, you need to, if you can't sit like this and be open like this, then stand. But your hands can't be like this, your hands have to be here or here. And he's like looking at me, say, because she will pick up everything. When Sydney's playing, she picks up every verbal cue, but it's a body language that speaks volumes. And they will pick up everything. Girls, big, everything. Oh yes, so great wise one. Money, oh yes, great wise one.
Now, of course, he doesn't have a mic, but I'm going to yell it out. What I'm hearing is how you coach, which is really good for females. We do better when people coach us with process and not about winning and outcomes. Don't tell me go and win, you got this point, go get it, whatever, but talk about the process or the tactic. It's so important because we females have enough pressure on us that we do ourselves for different reasons that I talk about in my speech in a couple hours, but I love that they both mentioned that process. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever, whether we've been in the same country or same state or anything, have ever said, you must win this match, you must do this.
No.
I've never asked that. I've never asked, I'll ask, hey, did you have fun out there? And she's looking at me when she first met me. What do you mean, Dad, have fun out there? I was like, no, we had, how was it? Did you have fun? What went well today? What went well? What was good? And I talk about that. It's never about winning because in the field of coaching, I've already won because I've had a small sliver of influence on amazing people. And whether you're number 1, number 10, number 500, it doesn't matter. Is that the things that they're learning on the tennis court, the communication, the understanding and how to look at things and the tactics. To me, I look at that as winning because of who they are now and who they are becoming. And so, to me, it's about that process. And then, if you do the controllables really well, if you're finding the ball well, if you're, this is better. If you're looking at your opportunities. I mean, one of my favorite stories. Oh my God, it's my favorite story. Veronika's playing somewhere in Europe, and she lost the first set. She somehow gets it into the record in the second, and she has match point down. And, she somehow survives match point down. Somehow she knows which match we're talking about now. And she says, she ends up winning the match. I think you had 6 match points against you in the tiebreak, something like that. And was it about 6?
11.
11. And she says, second serve, ball comes high to my forehand. What do you think I did? I said, you smacked the crap out of it down the line. She said, you know it. And to have the courage to go for your stuff. Win or lose, don't care. She had the courage to hit her ball. She didn't freak out. She didn't do anything. She hits the ball. I think that was at 1918. She gets it to 19 all, and what's it, 21-19? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 21-19. And wins the match. So the moral of the story is it's teaching those skills. I want to wrap things up, and I'll give you a chance to ask them questions. Is a big comment that came from my father-in-law, who had been superintendent of schools, and told me that in education, you need great teachers and coaches at every level. But the best of the best better be at the beginning, because nothing happens if you don't get that right. The other levels don't matter. It's the same thing as instruction, and it's the same thing as coaching, and it starts little and then it builds and builds. So when you're looking at your 10 and under coaches, you're looking at your beginner player coaches, they make a huge impact on whether these people stay in the sport and to get to this level. And I mean, this is fun to work with. Where I used to maybe load the title of Pee Wee Queen or Red Ball Goddess, I embrace it now because it feels good because I've gotten more people to play in the sport. You know, to me, it's about something that Don Henson said to me over and over and over again. God rest his soul. He used to say to me, the most, important thing that we do is help them realize that they're more than what they think they are. Players at every level. He used to say that to me over and over again for the first 10 years I lived out here in California. And for my mom today, God rest her soul, she left this earth 37 years ago today. She would always emphasize with me, enjoy the process and have fun out there. And whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, find happiness in what you're doing, find the joy in it. That's what I would share with you, because I will tell you, the most joyous thing I get to do is watch these ladies play. And nothing makes me happy, whether it's a good day on the court, a bad day on the court. On Mother's Day, I remember when we played in a tournament, wasn't the results we wanted, and I said, I'm happy I got to spend the day with you. And you look a couple of years later and you look at the results. So I have some prizes for you if you get some trivia questions. So everybody, if you're not following Veronika on Instagram, she's a hoot on Instagram. The stories are infamous. Buddy J, you follow all the stories. She's a shopper. Oh yeah, she's doing some great stuff out there. So I have a hat. Thank you, Billy, for all the hats. I have a hat. If you can tell me how many titles has V won this year, UTR titles. You can get the hat. Who has a guess? How many titles?
6.
Huh?
I said 6.
6? 6? Go give her a hat.
All right. Good job.
All right, but here's the bigger question. Cindy gets to hand this out. How many titles have you, UTR titles, have you won? How many titles has you won overall? 6 here, how many have you won overall? Anybody have a guess? More than 6?
26.
The professional titles, everything, UTR professional titles.
18.
I have a good guess.
25.
18.
Not quite 18.
15.
12.
All together, singles and doubles.
13.
She's having to do math in her head. Hold on.
14.
45.
Whoa!
ATF and
Wow.
singles, doubles, UTR combined 45, 46.
Wow. Congratulations. Awesome.
Nobody gets that. But they're going to stay around, have lunch with all of us. If you have questions, if you need input on anything, Sydney is going to be around. She's got lots of stories to tell. She's getting ready to play. She's got 4 schools chasing after her right now. So unfortunately, she might be leaving me from Southern California, but schedule. Oh my God, a Nardi that stays on schedule.
Yeah.
Mark,
Test
it's
1, 2. Right. Awesome. So you guys give a round of applause for Susan Roy and her guests. Thank you.
Somebody needs a scan? Scan?
So you can get your credit for this in 1 minute. The scanner is 10 minutes of the hour. Is it working, David? I'll let you know if it works. You have to walk up here.
Did you pay?